lovelies, it has been 5 years since I saw Jake Lloyd Bacon. I have been trapped in a well. And frankly, I don't know what's going on in pop culture. I'm not sure they still print comic books. Are movie theaters still open? We split this episode into 2 parts, right in the middle. And as of this recording in this moment, Jake, neither of us know where we split the moment, but we do know the episode itself was and is. This feels as multiversal as a pod can get, because I know when people are hearing this, they know more than me.
It's not multiversal, it's time travel-y.
Yeah, but I feel like that's so multiversal in the way it's used now.
Right.
Like I would have traveled to this point.
Sure.
So I feel like they know more than me.
We have just jumped forward into time to tell listeners shit they already know.
And yeah, they know more than us, but we're the lead.
We're the least helpful time travelers alive.
Like we're guiding people that know more than us.
Well, here, we can be helpful.
Okay.
If for some reason you're listening to this and didn't listen to last week's episode,
back it up.
You missed the first half of our 5-year anniversary 2-hour-long extravaganza. So here is the second hour.
Yes.
Of our 5-year episode that we recorded on March 3rd. And
that's fair, because what if giant news broke in then 2 weeks?
Yes. So also, we haven't talked about this, but are we gonna hit our next 2-weeker or are we gonna be down a week?
We might be down a week. I'm traveling, full disclosure. Yeah. She's not here in this moment.
Sure.
You guys will know and she won't. I'm surprising my fiance for her 30th birthday with a surprise trip to Paris. She doesn't know we're going.
We should say, just to do our due diligence of good hosts, again, in case you didn't listen to last week's, there are 2 additional guests in the studio.
But in this moment, they're not.
No, but explain to them who they might hear on today's episode.
So there is my amazing fiance who, as of when this is airing, is with me in Paris. Which is so exciting that I was able to I had been saving for 5 years for a trip to Ireland, and then I got engaged and was like, oh my good God, I love this person so much. And I don't know how much time we're going to have for a honeymoon. So I was like, well, the year is slow kind of for 10 days. So we're gallivanting. It's kind of like a pre-honeymoon trip.
Right.
But I get to it as a surprise. So I'm really stoked. That could be why we might be down a week. So if there's ever a time for me to play the sympathy card, it's a surprise trip to Paris.
Right.
I love you guys very much. I appreciate your patience. And then there's also my good friend, one of my best friends in LA, and also the person that helps me survive social media. If you've enjoyed my social media the last 3 weeks, it's because of this person, not because of me. My friend Jasmine Page Moore, who's also here. So you might hear new voices in addition to the sonorous tones of Coycast, Jake, and Coy.
Well, let's get on with it.
Let's end this long intro.
Thanks everybody who joined us, and here's the second half of our 5-year anniversary special.
Oh yeah.
You want to take another outline call?
Let's take another.
Who do we have here? Let's go to our beloved pod dad.
Happy 5th anniversary, Coy and Jake. This is Doug from Pittsburgh, or Darth Vadad on Discord. In the name of positivity, I've decided to offer up 5 of my favorite artists or pieces of art while trying to avoid the obvious. My favorite short story is Paladin of the Lost Hour by Harlan Ellison, particularly the audio recording by the author. You can read it in a recent collection of his stories called Greatest Hits. My more recent favorite science fiction novella, or short novel, is All Systems Red by Martha Wells. Murderbot should be the main character of the next great franchise, if anyone in Hollywood cares.
You sent me that, and I agree.
My favorite non-Beatles rocker is Elvis Costello. He always does great stuff, but for an underappreciated gem, check out his 1994 album, Brutal Youth. My favorite painter is Norman Rockwell. If you're in Massachusetts, visit the Rockwell Museum in Stockbridge. Finally, going back to science fiction, you can't go wrong with any novel by Ian MacDonald. He's been living in Belfast since he was 5 years old and lived through the Troubles in Northern Ireland. Right now, I'm reading one of his early novels, Desolation Road. Thanks for helping me get through the pandemic, U.S. politics, and my ongoing battle with Parkinson's, you lovelies in the Coycast community. Bye.
Darth.
Oh, the ultimate lovely!
We absolutely love you, Darth. Thank you so much for being such a huge part of the program. Your support continues to be paramount to us continuing doing the program.
Did I tell you about him sending me a Beatles album and I actually listened to it and liked it?
I fucking can't with you.
I actually found my way into the Beatles through Darth.
Actually listened to it and liked it.
I consider the Beatles formative.
Headline: most famous band ever. Good.
Not so
Who
bad.
would have thought?
Not so. No. But if you can acknowledge something as good and not for you.
I agree.
And I found my way in. That's a different thing. It's like when you are like eating a food you haven't enjoyed and you're like, oh wait, like this is a moment.
Respect that.
And I wanted to give credit to the man who loves the Beatles.
What did he send you?
It's the black and white swirly cover. It's like not quite their psychedelic era from the sound of things, but it's like right before. It feels like they've done a little bit of mushrooms, but not like as many as they got to.
Not quite Sgt. Pepper's.
Yeah, they're not like tripping balls while making music yet, but they probably like dabbled. But yeah, I like got into it, and it was. I think the vinylness helped because the warmth of it added to their warmth, so it actually like. I think there's something about the sterility of most digital music that I couldn't connect to their warmth in a way that felt anything more like the foundation of what it informed later.
Right.
Like I can feel the DNA of so much that I love in music through the Beatles, but it didn't mean I liked the initial meal. And I really dug it.
The Beatles, I think
Revolver,
yes. I think every musician like has a Beatles phase where you realize like, oh, okay, I get why. I get why. My parents, my uncles, my aunts. I understand why everybody likes this band. When I say every musician, I mean every musician, my era, my peers, and when I was playing in bands, and like they all, we all went through that thing. I went through it in my early 20s where I was just like all Beatles, everything. And I think that like I don't listen to the Beatles like if they come up like in random, you know what I mean? If I'm like if I'm shuffling, I tend to like, yeah, no, I'm not in the mood for that. But like, they are a band where like, they're an album band. Like they are like quintessential, like their music goes along with other songs of the era in the order in which they presented them.
And I'm a big album guy. And that also probably helped because I hadn't listened to them as an album. So I just wanted to give the credit.
Duger says he really dug it.
I love that a Doug is giving us that Doug pun about another Doug.
Also, yeah, Ian McDonald, author. I think Alexandra has two, maybe three of his titles down on our library downstairs.
Do you want to do a 5 rapid fire? You don't have to be like
of what? Sure.
He just said 5 pieces of art.
Okay, great. He said artists. We've never really talked about like artists that aren't comic book artists because right now one of my favorites is whoever drew this book.
Oh, we're gonna talk about that. If you're listening to this in the next episode, if you're watching this in this long
we'll
episode,
see. Yeah,
we're almost done.
The fine art space. I've always been attached quite a bit to Auguste Rodin, sculptor, and I feel like the majority of the things that I write, I always look to some of his work and like try to pull creative inspiration from it. Also, when I started my production company before I switched to what is now our current branding, I used his 3 shades as the which is it sits atop the Gates of Hell statue where the thinker comes from and all these other things that are like,
the
he's always been
in Philly. I didn't realize like the huge one,
right?
And I got to see it in person when I went to visit her, and I was like struck by it. Thinker in person is so much.
Have you ever seen it in context of the Gates of Hell, like where he?
But I'd never seen it in 3D.
Yeah,
and I was like, whoa.
Sure. But yeah, that's probably mine. Not a hand artist in that capacity, but
I'm obviously most of mine's comic because that's
sure, of course.
Big Ralph Steadman guy though. Ralph Steadman art really speaks to me. The manic madness of it, like the energy of art. I like when my art feels like my music, which is pretty loud and robust. So Ralph Steadman's up there. I really actually love Van Gogh. To the point where I didn't used to like the color yellow. And then discovering Van Gogh, I was like obsessed with him for long enough that now yellow like speaks to joy.
Have you been to the
exhibit?
The Getty?
Not yet.
Yeah, we went for Alexander's
the Getty,
birthday.
yes. There's a Van Gogh exhibit that's separate.
Gotcha.
But I went to the Getty.
But there is one at
There's
the
one
Getty.
at the Getty that I loved.
Yeah. Oh yeah, with the color theory where they tried to like 3D paint.
Didn't do the psychedelic thing, yeah.
But the thing is interesting thing about like 3D printing a painting because you get brushstrokes and how even the 3D printing, which is perfect, doesn't look right. Like it's literally a 1-to-1. It's weird. It's really
Uncanny Valley-ish.
Yeah.
Like when you look at the apes. And
I did have that thing. So we went the day after Christmas on her birthday, and it was mobbed. And I did have that moment. I had my Larry David moment where we took 2 steps into the room, the Van Gogh room, and it was just this. It was just.
Oh yeah.
You just see this and people, and I'm just like, I mean, like. Nope. Nope. Let's come back during the weekdays when nobody's here, not on a holiday weekend. So many people just standing there with their phone taking a photo. What are you taking a photo of?
A painting you'll never look at.
Google it.
Yeah,
you'll
never look at your photo.
Why are you taking a photo of a art on a wall with 5 people in between you in it? It's just phones.
I took 2 photos in the Getty one was of a huge like the room and the scope. And then I admittedly took a picture of a Van Gogh because I wanted to remember my memory of looking at it.
Okay.
But I would not have done that if it was crowded because it wouldn't have been of the art. It would have been of the people in front of the art.
Sure.
So I'll totally own I'm somewhere in between us.
Okay.
Like I will acknowledge you might have seen me and been mad, but it was with context.
I respect your context.
I'm just giving but yeah, Van Gogh's big for me. Stedman's big for me.
The only things that I took photos of is there's a really awesome exhibit in the Getty of essentially the connection between spirituality and astrology throughout history, and the way that doctors used to literally be like, "Oh, you're born on this day and you have a headache. Therefore, if we extract blood from this limb, that coincides, or this organ coincides with your." And there's all of this art, these original art.
That's why you took a photo.
Well, no, because I couldn't see shit because I'm old and blind. So like, here's a page from one of the books that's however many hundreds of years old.
Dope.
And I took photos so that I could zoom in and like read it better.
Yeah.
So I was that douchebag who was like sneaking photos. I don't think you're supposed to take photos, but I was just like, I can't read it.
See it.
I want to read, but look, you could zoom in.
The size 82 font.
And yeah, look, you can read the fine print font when you zoom in, but you can't read that shit when it's on a book like that. Come on.
Yeah.
Anyways, other rapid fire things, favorite books. God, I honestly haven't read fiction in a really long time. I read so many memoirs.
Oh yeah, mine's are all nonfiction. Off the top of my head, like The Dude and the Zen Master, I really love, which is a Jeff Bridges, who's not a scary man book. I really love Capturing Fire, which is about like attaining flow state. They did a bunch of studies on Marines and artists, and they found that their brains reaching an equilibrium of brainwaves happened when the training that the Marines had gone through went into neutral and they went into like default mode. And artists, when they said they were doing their peak capacity of creativity, and they found the brainwaves were exactly the same. So it's about like finding that and which way you're wired, more like a Marine, more like an artist. It's a fascinating book called Capturing Fire that I really loved. Paddling Your Own Canoe by Nick Offerman got me back into reading nonfiction.
Oh, you know what? I do have one fiction book, and I'm going to say it's one of my favorites despite having not finished it. It was one of those books that I read at the bookstore in increments.
Yeah.
When we were in New York, because I would go and I'd write. And when I was like at there's a little like bookstore in the town of Huntington up there that I would sit at and, write, and then you lose inspiration or you just sort of go like, I want to change pace. And I would just walk and grab a book. And I would do the thing where I'm going to read the first chapter of a few books and see if I want to buy something, or if I just want to buy something. And I did a few things. I bought a book by Jesse Eisenberg while I was there, like a couple of little things that I bought. And I started reading How to Lose the Time War. And it's like really fascinating and odd. And it's like a fun genre bender. And I think I got like, 4 chapters in, and then I was just like, oh yeah, I got to get that. And then I just never, it was like, that was the last day that I went before we ended up moving back. And I never did. And it's just been on my list now ever since. But,
I think that covers at least 5.
I've
been on a music kick, but that's a longer conversation. But yeah, I've been.
Shantae, I believe. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly in the chat. Says Rodin's Kiss is my favorite. Hard same. I used to have a big, massive, 2x3 print of it that I would like hang up in my room. And when I was like a moody college kid, girls would come over and they're like, "Oh, what's that?" I'm like, "It's my favorite painting. It's my favorite sculpture. I feel like it's just the gentility of his hand on her hip. It's like really." And then they're like, "Oh, you're so deep and cute. Touch me."
Yeah. Now he's engaged.
Yeah. Duger, Huntington, Strong Island, represent Duger. You know what I'm talking about.
Deep August.
Northern State Parkway. Just get off right there. Fucking Jericho Turnpike. Mega left 231. Represent Deep Park Avenue. Okay. You want to do another hotline call?
Yeah. How many we got?
I don't know.
Right.
We're just winging it. Let's see.
All right, I'm into that.
Let's take one. I think this might be a first time caller. If it is, I'm excited. If not, I apologize. Speaking of Long Island, oh my God. He says he's from Suffolk County. He just says that.
Tangent.
But he doesn't say New York.
We assume.
And there's probably a lot more Suffolk counties.
But I know of that one.
But I think we'll probably be able to tell by his accent that he's from Long Island.
Hey, Jake. Hey, Coy. This is Nate out of Sonoma County. Coy, congrats on the engagement. I hope your wedding is going to be awesome. Mazel. And Jake, way to be an engineer and have a wonderful show and bring Coy live to everyone. I wanted to ask, given the state of not just where we're seeing Critical Role had recently wrapped up after being on the air for 10 seasons, but also with the direction that Marvel and DC and the other multimedia companies are going, are we going to see a scaling back and get back to quality, or are we just going to keep as we're going and just to keep developing more and more? Thanks, fellas. Really appreciate it. Be safe out there and have a lovely St. Patty's.
Oh yeah, St. Patty's coming up.
Yeah.
Nate from Suffolk.
2 weeks still. 2 weeks till St. Patty's.
I think it's got to be Suffolk, Long Island.
It's got to be. Critical Role ending, I think, was for their sanity and to get some rest. I don't know about scaling up or down with big companies because of the Wall Street stockbroker nature of art now is infinite growth is what these streamers want. So if there is some sort of course correction for creativity, it needs to happen soon. I do think Marvel is fixing their stuff a bit because of
I feel like that started like a year ago.
But we haven't seen it because it would not be out yet.
Right.
So I feel like Thunderbolts, Fantastic Four, and forward is that new era. I feel like Captain America 4 was the end of the we've made a lot of stuff, it's got to come out era, and I feel like that's why it got reshot amongst other reasons. But there are less shows coming out starting next year. This year there's 9 things from Marvel because they held 4 things last year. So they made a bunch of statements about we're going to put out less. And then this year it's 9 things. And I'm like, I think you shouldn't have said the first thing because if you're in the industry, but most people don't know that this stuff's been made for 2 years.
But here's the question is, are you counting stuff like the Spider-Man cartoon?
Yes.
Because I think
that's been held for 3 years.
Yeah.
So that's been made.
I guess what I'm thinking though is does Marvel Studios put that in the same category that they put Captain America 4?
Certainly not in advertising. Because Spider-Man's so good.
Exactly.
And they don't push it.
Sure, but the point that I'm making is this is a product of ours, but this isn't
brand awareness
the thing.
To scale.
This isn't the thing that we're getting people to go to the theaters for.
Right.
Yeah.
But they've got 3 movies and 6 shows this year. And I feel like that won't be the normal ever again. I think it's a mix of what they greenlit, what they're holding, what got held up. Whereas DC is doing an interesting thing where they're trying to do 2 live action shows, 2 live action movies, 1 animated movie, 2 animated shows. It's 7 things total.
Every year?
Every year. But people don't realize they already put out a ton of animated movies. So it's a scaling up and down. Right. And since everything's not super connected because the Elseworld stuff.
I was going to say, is their animated division now going to be tied in with everything Gunn does?
Not
from this
all
point?
of it.
Okay.
But all their movies aren't going to tie in.
Because they've always been
some of their own universe.
Yeah, and they've always been really good at making sure that that's just a thing that they do, and
that's why they're doing Elseworld banners. Right. That way, you understand the Batman 2 is not the Batman Brave and the Bold. It'll be very clear from the jump. So I think they are course correcting. I just worry about the stock side.
What do you think about just the studio situation? I mean, I'm kind of in it in the sense that I haven't been working in the film world now for a while because everything has moved to streaming.
Yeah.
And all of my friends and peers are like, man, there's not a lot happening right now. Productions aren't happening, but that's because they all work for the big 5.
Right.
And I don't. So I'm just I'm busy as shit. I'm working I have too much work. I could really use a little bit less work, to be perfectly honest with you, but it's not in that space.
Right.
And the amount of, accolades that we just saw an independent movie get at the Oscars
first
last night.
4 for the same director.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
for
an independent $6 million film.
Yeah, and that movie will have made a lot of money. Now that's not to say that Dune didn't also make a lot of money, but if you're a studio, how many hits are you going to take? How many $250 million advertising alone campaigns are you going to eat before you go hey, is there any scripts that are just 2 people talking in a room for a little while?
Well, I mean, don't quote me, but I think it's 40 million. You can quote me on the statement, but not the number. I think it's 40 million. Clayface is only $40 million because James Gunn wanted to make
Is that they're doing a
live action for 40 million. So to me,
is Alan Tudyk playing himself again, playing Clayface live action?
I don't think so because it's an Elseworld.
Oh, got it.
But it's written by Mike Flanagan, directed by James Watkins, who just did Speak No Evil. It's a $40 million independent horror film, and I think The Swamp Thing got a $30 million budget. So they're going that way already to a big scale.
That's great.
And I think that's a way to keep a company afloat and also keep a universe going.
And if
whether it's shared or not.
Yeah, if you're listening to this and you're like, that sounds like a lot of money, it's not.
It's not here.
That's nothing. Yeah.
So I think that's the move because $6 million is like free. Like they stole a lot of shots in New York. $40 million is a very reasonable, meager budget in 2025.
Yeah.
So I think there are going to be those things. I think Marvel's is course correcting. I think, Daredevil's their big show this year, but I'm sure others are not going to be nearly as crazy big.
Right.
Daredevil, have you seen the first 3 seasons?
No.
Okay.
I saw 1 and 2.
Netflix ones. Okay.
I know we talked about this
That's right.
a couple weeks ago where I'm such a douchebag completionist that because I also haven't seen
Defenders,
Luke Cage 2, Iron Fist 1 and 2. Was there a second season?
Second
2 of that. First. Like I have it on my phone somewhere. Actually, I wrote out
like a to-do.
Well, I wrote out like the Netflix Marvel thing, and I was like, oh, what's the order and what do I have to watch it? Let's see, do I have it? But yeah, there's a bunch of stuff that I haven't. I just haven't watched yet, and there we go. Defenders show order. So I'm up to Luke Cage. Oh, so we skipped Defenders. I saw Punisher and Jessica Jones 2. So I think I skipped Iron Fist and Defenders 1. I guess there's only one.
There's only one
season.
Defenders.
Yeah. And then I'm behind Luke Cage 2, Iron Fist 2, Daredevil 3, Punisher 2, and Jessica Jones 3.
So you have 5 seasons to watch.
Jesus Christ.
I mean, I'm going to show Anya the Punisher. I mean, the Daredevil show starting with season 1. And if she likes it, we'll do Punisher. But I want to get her to the point where we can watch the current ongoing Daredevil.
Right.
But it'll probably be like 5 months. Like it's a long show.
Yeah.
But it's so good.
Yeah, I know. I mean, again, because we've talked about this, like this is kind of the problem is that like, even you just said like Marvel's putting out, 9 things and then 7 by DC. It's like, these are all the same market.
Yeah.
And so the reality is there people like me who, especially lately where I keep talking about, I'm really concentrating more on output.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter that this is my shit, that I'm obsessed with this and I want to know everything. I just don't have the time. Like I literally do not have the hours.
And that's not including The Boys or Spider-Man Noir or like all the independent
100%.
stuff. Spider-Man Noir is on Amazon.
I still haven't seen the second season now of Invincible, one of my favorite comics of all time.
Yeah.
And that first season was, I ranted about how great that first season was.
I think they're on season 3.
Yeah. And I'm behind a season.
I'm behind 2, by the way.
Yeah.
I've only seen the first episode of season 2. I'm so behind.
There's so many things that are kind of insane I haven't watched. And I think that's just going to be the way it is forever.
I never finished Preacher because of that. Like, that's a great example of like, it's been this way for 5 years.
And that is literally in like my top 5 comics of all time.
Right.
Yeah.
So I hope that answers your question. They need to pivot, but I also think scaling is happening in real time.
All right, let's take another call. Really quickly though, before we take this call, I just want to give a shout out to Hamish. Hamish left a voicemail. It was 8 minutes long. I'm sorry, Hamish, we could not play the and also I only got and reviewed the voicemails right before we started, so I didn't have time to potentially edit it. So we may still use your call in a future episode if I can edit it down, or if you want to try back with, an abridged version.
Oh, and I want a correction real quick. Oh,
yes.
Thank you for the shout out. Robin West Parker. Robin in the chat. Can't find the book Capturing Fire. Coy, are you talking about Stealing Fire? I am. I'm sorry for misquoting it. Stealing Fire. I read it 3 years ago. That is definitely the title. My bad.
Listen, these Hunger Games titles, they all sound the same.
Yeah, they're real close. I mean, frankly, once she declared tribute.
Capturing Fire, Stealing Fire.
What are you going to do? It is 100% called Stealing Fire, and it's so good.
All right, let's see another familiar name, although some of it we haven't heard from a lot recently, but when we first opened the hotline call, heard from them all the time. It's our favorite, one of the slickest voices in the game.
Oh!
Jared from Louisiana.
Yeah.
Hello, Coy producer Jake. This is
like butter.
Jared from Louisiana.
So smooth.
Look, you try to keep this short and sweet and ask you this depending on whenever you decide to air it. But by now, Disney Plus will have aired the premiere of Daredevil Born Again. So my question to you is, outside of how they plan on doing it, how would you introduce what we know as the Defenders? And I'm obviously referring to Daredevil, clearly, but Luke Cage, Jessica Jones, Punisher, and one Iron Fist. Always a pleasure. Stay sweaty. And thank you, comics.
Yeah.
Jared from Louisiana. God, I love his voice.
It's so good.
So, how would you bring the Defenders into our MCU? I guess the question is are they are we getting new versions of everybody guaranteed? Have we already discussed that? Is that
I
thing
think
we
post Secret Wars. I think I would bring them all back for Secret Wars. Personally, I think the way to do Defenders,
like the original Netflix
Mike
cast.
Coulter,
Yes.
Jessica, Kristen Ritter. I would have Finn Jones in there, but I would also make Jessica Henwick the canonical Iron Fist. So I'd have 2 Iron Fists for the big moment.
Right.
Because what you're going to want in Secret Wars is how do you top Endgame? You need spectacle for a long period of time. Right. So you're going to get every face you can.
all expect. I mean, I expected them in Endgame.
Right.
I thought for sure we were
one of the portals was going to be them.
100%.
I think at this point you have to. So the way I'd bring them back is to have one last ride kind of thing. I'd use Daredevil as a way to like sprinkle in a couple of them. Maybe I'd use Kristen Ritter because I love her the most. Jessica Jones I feel like is perfect. So I'd have Kristen Ritter either in the first or second season of Daredevil, and then I would build towards all of them showing up in Doomsday at the very end as a way to like, so you have to see Secret Wars, and then they're actually in the fight in Secret Wars.
Interesting.
Maybe a post-credit
Doomsday. But then is the idea that we're just like, are we just leaning into this fucking multiverse more?
I think that multiverse needs to do what the comics did, where an incursion event allows you to keep whichever characters you want into a more streamlined universe going forward.
But then nix it. But then we're not seeing 2 different things every time.
Not until like 10 years on the line, we need a reunion.
I agree.
You know what I mean? Like you can keep it streamlined, and then in a decade, when
so
it's
that's how we stick with Charlie Cox.
Exactly.
But
keep
not
him
Jessica
everywhere.
Or not Ritter. If we that's
what I'd do.
Thing.
I mean, like Miles Morales is still in regular universe because they folded him in from Ultimate.
Right.
But with the characters you want.
And do we already know yet? Oh, you should know. You've seen the first couple episodes of Daredevil.
The first 2, yeah.
So like, do we know? Are they acknowledging things that have occurred in our timeline? So that is in our New York City.
It is season 4.
Is that our Charlie Cox from Spider-Man No Way Home?
Yes, and they do a really good job balancing.
Wait, no. See, the thing. Okay, I just asked you a question. Then you said it is season 4, and I was saying the exact opposite.
They made both. They made it work.
Okay.
They made it so it feels like one connected thing, including No Way Home and the show.
Got it. Okay.
So that's what's impressive, is it walks a line of like acknowledgement but not weighted by it. And that's what they should have been doing the whole time, like comics do. Like it doesn't feel like homework to watch the Netflix. You don't have to, but it is helpful.
I don't know why I was immediately reminded of this because we were scrolling through one of the fucking streaming services the other day, and Alexandra Ghost Rider Vengeance came up. Like she was like, "What is that?" And I was like, "Ghost Rider 2, Ghost Rider Vengeance." And she was like, "When did that come?" And I was like, "It came out like not that long,
2 years later, 3 years later."
And she was like, "Wait, what?" And I was like, "Yeah." I was like, "It's kind of fucking great.
Yeah,
like it's
Idris Elba,
it's
insane.
way better than the first one." And it's like I was like, the guy that did Crank. Like it's all this crazy filmmaking, and he pisses fire, and it's like really tongue in cheek, and also Nick Cage is amazing in it, and she couldn't believe it. But I immediately was like, "Yeah," but she was like, "But it's so bad," meaning the first one. I was like, "Yeah," I was like, in the opening sequence, they show you some events of the first movie and then
canon,
but then tell you things that are completely diametrically opposed to what happened in the first movie. So I was like, they just pick and choose what they wanted to keep,
which is comics,
and they did it comic style.
And that's what I think that James Gunn wants to do with the DCU. I don't know, by the way. I know people assume I know everything because of my job, but like I assume with his quotes, that's the plan there too.
Right. Once again, Shantae, again, if you corrected me, I've already missed it because the chat keeps moving. But says in the chat, I wonder if it works if you haven't watched a Netflix show at all.
I've been wondering the same. I think it would. They do a very good job, but I can't remove my favorite show. Like I love Daredevil too much.
Like if
you skip season 3, I think you'll still get a lot out of season 4.
In fairness, there's too much shit. My memory is garbage. So the reality is,
not know if you missed
the reality is I don't remember much of Daredevil. I can picture it.
Yeah.
But I don't remember much of the story. I remember is Rosario Dawson the nurse?
Yeah, she's a good connection of all of it.
I remember like his outfit slowly becoming more and more cool and him adapting, but I don't really remember the story. I don't really remember I don't really remember the final details of it.
2015, 2018, dude. It's been a decade.
Exactly.
It's crazy.
I don't remember that shit from that long ago.
That's why I'm excited to rewatch it with my fiance.
Is that what we're doing? Fiance?
I call her fiance.
Fiance?
She's so not listening anymore.
Good. Yeah. She's gonna marry you. I'm surprised she's listened at all.
That's
this
true.
point.
And an hour and a half into us just yakking.
Hey, Coy, how do people call the hotline to have their voice on the program?
Well, they call 818-794-0722. That's 818-794-0722. And as you all know, you are the co-host of this very show, whether you're a new listener or one of the OGs who've been calling in for this 5-year. Very, very much appreciate hearing from you all.
You could also send an email.
A voice memo or an email to contact@coycast.com. That is contact@coycast.com. Jake checks all of those.
I do.
And you can also go to Coycast.com for all sorts of merch. We got sweatshirts like the one I'm wearing. We got t-shirts like the one Jake is wearing. We got hats like the one I'm wearing.
my t-shirt.
Look at that. Look at that. He's seen 0 trailers. That's we got a pair of t-shirts. We got I've seen it 100 times, and then we got this bad layer right there. And yeah, I'm wearing
Doug McKinney. Will Jake watch the new Daredevil by the 10th anniversary episode? I mean,
if all goes well.
Wait, when was season 3 of the Netflix Daredevil?
2018.
So that is 7 years ago.
Yeah.
So the answer is probably not.
Yeah, he's behind by 7 years.
Maybe by the 12th year anniversary.
Maybe.
We do have one more hotline, but we're gonna take it at the end because it's a not a doozy, but it's a doogie.
Oh.
So we'll say that at the end. But we do have some other business to attend to. We do have to name a gift horse. That's coming up. Before then, though, I do want to spend a few minutes. Before this even went live today,
one of our first comments.
First comments in the chat. Let me see if I can scroll up and write it down. It was. Oh, darn it. It was
so many.
There it is. Kyle Curtis said, I miss the book club days.
Well.
Well, Curtis, let's get a little old school Coycast for our 5-year anniversary.
Do we have a moment for you?
Let's do a little book clubbing because your boy finally got around.
Read a comic book.
Hey, I read a lot of comics, but it's not the ones that we talk about in the program, okay? They're all dirty.
I like this.
The new Ultimate Spider-Man.
Yes.
Coy, you have sang this book's praises.
I'd say ranted and raved.
You've ranted and raved. And I'm going to go ahead and just say, I know that some people might find this hard to believe. Coy can sometimes be a bit hyperbolic. Just a little bit.
No.
Just a wee bit hyperbolic.
Undersell.
And Ultimate Spider-Man might be the only time in the world where I thought to myself, why didn't Coy say this was good?
I've been telling you.
All right. It's full spoilers for the brand new Ultimate.
Yes, volume 1.
This
only
is
volume 1.
The first 6 episodes, I called it, because that's how good it is. Man, I got a lot to say. What are they up to now?
I will check. I literally came out this week. I picked up this week's issue.
I need to know when I can get the second volume.
Second trade should be out anytime now. The issue that dropped this past week was Ultimate Spider-Man 14.
So I believe that's more than. So this is 6. So if it's 6, that's another 12.
Is that 6 or 5?
6.
That's 6. So 12. So they usually it's 2 months after. So it should be
this month?
Literally March.
This month.
Yeah.
Happy birthday to me.
Yes.
So, I understood that this was like an Elseworlds, but I did not understand that it was like a what if, in a sense. Again, I'm delaying for people to tune out. Full spoilers for Ultimate Spider-Man, the new Ultimate Spider-Man, Married with Children is the title. You said to me, oh, this is a Spider-Man who's older. He's got kids. It's about a man of a certain age.
What if he had the responsibility, but not yet the power?
But
genius.
But you did. That's the thing is that you did not tell me.
Well, I didn't want to give it away.
I'm giving it away right now to all
I know,
the
we gave them a spoiler warning.
I did not realize that it starts with him still yet not Spider-Man.
Yeah, dude.
That hook is so good.
See why I didn't give it away? How big is that moment? How cool is it?
And the fact that it's literally, 3 issues before he's even...
He's a dude named Peter Parker.
It takes 6 issues before someone says the word Spider-Man. So these are the only faults I have with the book is that, and it's all personal, it's all my brain, is that the style of writing has been so, I think, affected by modern film and television that I am finding myself, I don't know, maybe this also comes from just the fact that like I'm, as an actor, I've been reading scripts for a very long time. I'm constantly reading. I'm always thinking about timing. When they're at the table with 2 couples, again, big spoilers coming up, okay? Big spoilers coming up. They're out to dinner, and it is Peter and his wife, MJ, and it is Harry
and his wife,
Gwen Stacy. Who is a billionaire CEO. And the dialogue is like fucking Amy Sherman Palladino.
It's genius.
But it's so quick.
Yeah.
That
the books fly by.
That because of the way that I read, we've talked about this before. Like, how do you read a comic? Like, is it in your head? Is it like, what are you processing when you see the words? I am reading it like I'm cold reading a script.
Right. So you're done in 5 minutes.
So I blow through pages to the point where I've noticed that as I've gotten older, like the art is kind of just like being absorbed via like osmosis.
I've had to relearn how to read.
And I'm not really paying attention to it.
I've had to change how I read comics when it's art that good.
Well, but here's the thing though. The point that I'm making is that I think whoever this artist is, I'm not familiar.
It's fairly new to your era. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not familiar with it. They're so good.
He was on Chip Zdarsky's Daredevil, by the way, which I know you heard me yell about.
Well, no, that's been on my list forever as well.
It's the same artist.
He's so good. I'm assuming it is a he because of the name.
Marco Cicchetto, yeah.
Okay. That I got everything I needed. Even though I'm just at a clip because the jokes are all timing.
When
in order for MJ to make sense, it has to be quick. Like, and so
I reread Ultimate Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Like it's so good that I'll finish an issue and I might read another couple comics because I have like an amount I read every day, and I'll go back and reread it for the art.
See, I
do an art pass.
Yeah, that's what I do. I'm not reading it.
Yeah.
I'm kind of just looking and then grabbing a word and going, oh, I remember when that happened.
Yeah, like I do an art pass and a reading pass. So when I tell people I read 50, 70 comics a week, it's because I always want to be rereading the stuff from the 60s, 70s, and 80s about the things they're developing. So like right now I'm reading Green Lantern, the Jon Stewart stuff from the 70s,
right,
so that when the Lantern show comes out, it wasn't my childhood that I read it.
Right.
But that's a lot of books. So I try to read 10 comics every single day. So there's an average of 50 comics per week of new stuff, which means if I read 10 comics a day, that's 5 days a week.
Right.
So I set aside 2 days of old stuff.
Right.
But on the 10 comic day that Ultimate Spider-Man lies on, I'll read that first.
Right.
I'll read 9, and then I'll go back and be like, the art.
Right.
Like, so I'll do a pass for that because it does fly.
Right. It really does. And the way that they wrote MJ is like, again, straight out of like a really well-acted modern movie. I
missed her.
But also, there's one panel that is just fucking exceptional, and it's in that dinner scene. I'm gonna try to find it, where
every cliffhanger,
where you can this moment, there is so much physical motion, in a still where they're all talking, and MJ is licking something because she's like eating a finger food, and she just has the tip of her thumb in her mouth, and you can hear it. You can hear
her dialogue change.
The way that it's so fucking good. Also, this artist's decision to draw Peter almost exclusively in a worm's eye in every single panel. It is just worm's eye after worm's eye, to the point where I was like, is this guy just stealing? Like, look at worm's eye there. I'll show that, like, worm's eye there, looking up, worm's eye there, worm's eye here. They're always like shooting him from his belt, essentially. Yeah. And at first I was like, oh, this is like that, was it? Maybe it was, I think it might've been in Mr. Miracle, the joke where it's like, it's like an artist talking. Grid? Yeah. And it's an artist talking about how like, oh, it's sometimes when you have to draw the same thing over again, it's a cheat. Like,
yeah.
At first I was like, oh, they're just reusing the artist being like, but they're not the same.
No, it's not the same art.
They're not the same.
It's to give him presence.
There's just this little tiny thing. But anyways, let's talk about the story, because I can rant and rave about the specifics of the art. And when I tell you, it's outstanding. And the dialogue is so good. I'm
so glad I didn't overhype it, because I love that book.
It really
is.
By the way,
it's the best Spider-Man story in 20 years.
By the way, I mean, given J. Jonah, I'm going to call it the chaplain in lieu of what people might call it. Giving Jonah the chaplain, respect.
And the friendship between him and Uncle Ben is what I love about both characters that I never realized would pair.
Right. All right, so let's talk about the story. Now we're getting really deep into spoilers.
Yes.
Story.
We haven't already.
Story.
Yes.
Parker never became Spider-Man.
Nope. He's a parent, and he's still with MJ. And because he never became Spider-Man, Uncle Ben's alive.
He's got 2 kids, but Aunt May has passed away. Just, I'm assuming, from potentially old age. We don't know. I don't know if you know yet, because you're 2 issues ahead of me, 3 issues ahead of me. No, more than that. Almost 7.
Yeah, 7 issues.
But the things that we learn pretty rapid fire are that Norman is dead.
Yes.
Norman's wife is dead. I just forget her name. Harry's mom's name.
It escapes me in the moment.
Sure. A white lady name.
Yeah.
White lady name is dead. Let's call her Karen.
Karen.
Karen Osborn.
A Karen would marry a Norman.
Karen Osborn.
Yeah, I remember that.
Anyways, it sounds like Sharon.
Oh wait,
Osborn.
that does actually. Is that why I wonder if I thought Sharon?
Yes, maybe why. Oh, Ozzy.
Sharon Oscorp.
So they died in what is essentially being considered a terrorist attack by a young Tony Stark.
Yes, and that you find out
pretty abruptly.
Yeah.
But there's some subterfuge, because at some point a box is delivered, or how does he get? Do we talk about how he got the little orb? Parker?
I
Peter?
know from the Ultimate stuff. I don't remember if it ties in there, but there's a time travel element with Tony Stark.
Okay, so there's this little piece of tech that eventually Peter opens, and it's a hologram of young Tony Stark I guess, committing some sort of act of terrorist.
That's
or at least
one person's point of view.
What we're supposed to be seeing. Right, exactly.
The Ultimates is a terrorist book from the perspective of the people that are doing good, but people perceive as terrorists. Dude, it's so good.
And it's this continuity.
It's that universe.
So
So imagine a book as written from like people at war, but you think like the rebels in Star Wars.
Right.
But they're actively seen as terrorists around the world, but it's the Avengers.
Right, understood.
Dude, it's so good.
So appears in the hologram and says, "Hey, Peter, someone fucked with our universe." And immediately this beckons to one of my favorite cross thing series from 20 years ago, which is House of M.
Yeah.
This immediately feels like the thing that made House of M really fun and exciting is in this, but in a way that is completely different. It's not just a retread of like, what if everybody got what they wanted? You know, like it's not, and so like the mystery element right off the bat is outstanding. The familiarity with the characters, the political heavy-handedness.
Like I'm saying, the terrorists are your leads because who considers what negative? Who consider like
the story about, the fact that the whole thing starts with Jonah leaving the Bugle and
starting the paper
because Fisk is essentially controlling the media and shutting down stories that, I mean, it is fucking great. The stupid teaser scene where he's making the suit with May, his daughter, is really great. But honestly, I think that like out of all of the modern, big two capes and types, this is the one that is like already ready for. My $2 bill fell out.
I was like, what is that? What is that bookmark?
I was using a $2 bill as a bookmark.
I respect it.
Listen, I'm as gay as a $2 bill. What can I tell you?
Keep it in the book.
But yeah, I was gonna say this is the most immediately one-to-one prepared for a live action adaptation.
You know what I want so bad? Andrew Garfield is that, because I would love if we go back to his universe and that's the reality. Like he got put in the wrong universe. That's drawn like Andrew Garfield.
I was just gonna say,
tell me that's not Andrew Garfield.
This is literally the Garfield beard. But by the way, this is again another example. Look at Worm's Eye. Looking up at him.
But look at Andrew Garfield.
Worm's Eye.
That's Andrew Garfield. He's even wearing Andrew Garfield brown. That's what Andrew Garfield last night.
By the way, I accidentally opened up this page. This is the exact page I was referencing where I said I thought he was cheating by using the same, but it's not.
He's drawn it over again.
But yeah, dude, this is great.
I love that you love it. It's so special.
I meant this whole Andrew Garfield thing.
Oh, right. Great. Isn't that perfect? That's what I want to see.
Right.
And he's the right age, and Garfield has that paternal energy right now that I feel like translates to this.
The other thing that's really exciting about it is kind of like they have told us, all right, everything that you know about these characters, you should know, but isn't going to come into fruit. Like the fact I started questioning Bullseye.
Yeah.
Bullseye pops up in like a whatever, and he's throwing cards.
Yeah.
And I was like, is that Gambit?
Right.
Is this Remy as Bullseye?
And you question everything.
Yeah.
That's the fun of it. And you get into different villains in volume 2. It keeps growing. By the way,
thank you very much. Gilbert in the chat says that the volume 2 comes out March 18th.
Oh, perfect. 3 weeks. 2 weeks. Have they explained, how do I not give this away? Has there been a conversation about Peter talking to himself?
No.
Okay. It's one of my favorite things I've ever read in a Spider-Man book. They give a reason for Spider-Man's quips beyond his quips.
Interesting.
They canonically make the favorite Spider-Man thing even more logical.
Interesting. Because I will say, it is what I do think is really fascinating about this version of Peter is that like he is like, he's written like the lead of every fucking movie I ever write, where he's just this miserable kind of schmuck to start. He's not like the
altruistic.
Like he's super great dad, and he's clearly fun and joyous with MJ. He's not funny.
Yeah.
He's not like,
that's what I'm really excited for you to get to.
He's just living his life. He's in the grind, but he knows something's wrong.
Right.
It kind of in the same way that
scot-free kind of character.
Or I was going to say in House of M, I don't remember who the very first, was it Wolverine who was like, something's not right? There was like one character in the beginning who was just like, I should be really happy.
Yeah.
But something feels wrong about all of this, which is sort of the catalyst. I think it might've been Peter. It was either Peter or Logan, but it feels like that. This has really brought me back into the universe in a way that I'm now like, when you open the first page, the first thing I see is Ultimate Black Panther, and I go, is that just as good?
So in
and
my
it really
opinion,
makes me go like, shit, do I need to start reading this universe?
Ultimate Spider-Man is the best of them, in my opinion. Ultimates is right there at number 2. That's the Avengers book.
And is it the same like that used to be the Ultimates of the other Ultimate universe? I do wish they came up with a different name.
I know,
for this.
because it feels, but you got to have brand recognition. But Ultimates.
What could it have been? Ultimator?
Most Ultimates with a T at the end. Ultimates.
No, but you know what they do
Ultimates.
is they need to go back to the last series and read then penultimate.
Penultimate. And then Ultimates. Just all canon.
But then the next one's going to
everyone's sorting is just fucked.
Yeah.
But yeah, Ultimates is the second best, I think.
It's tough though. The titling is a bit problematic. But so Ultimates is the next one.
Is
and what other titles do we have?
Black Panther, X-Men.
Okay.
And Wolverine just started, and Wolverine's the Winter Soldier.
Interesting.
So the Winter Soldier canon and Wolverine canon is.
Right. Oh, I got a question. Who's the guy with the eye patch?
Show me.
Who is Fisk's maybe right-hand man, but maybe boss?
Oh, that hasn't been revealed yet.
Okay, so I shouldn't know.
Yeah, you shouldn't know.
I was doing that thing where I was like, shit, is this a character?
How much comics do I know?
Well, it's also like I am fully aware that I have like a decade-long blind spot now.
No, you'll get there.
And that is just
I cannot wait for you to read volume. So
by the way, yeah, we didn't really talk about this. So that's how it starts with like him being like, hey, you were supposed to be Spider-Man, but we didn't call him that. But you were supposed to be a hero. You never was a hero. We're gonna undo that. We've lost 30 years, or however long it's been, right? This is Stark from the future, hologram Stark saying this to Peter. But in that time, Stark Senior and Obadiah Stane have Stark Stane or Stane Stark Industries.
Yep.
They folded or were also killed in the I don't remember what I don't remember.
That's explored in Ultimates.
Okay, gotcha. So and that company was pulled into Oscorp because Harry got everything from Norman and his wife. I know that, like, so Harry is in charge of not just Oscorp, but all of Stane Stark, and discovers all of the iron tech. Yep. And because of that, we get Green Goblin, which is an Iron Man version of Green Goblin.
And there's more tech-based villains that come in volume 2,
right,
which makes sense in a really natural way. Dude, so
and his one of his right-hand men, him and Gwen, his wife, who's also now like a proprietor of all of this, his right-hand man and lead like tech guy is Otto.
Right.
Who hates being called Otto.
Which is delightful. And Otto gets more and more interesting because the parallels start to get stronger.
Right.
What I was going to say is we'll in April do volume 2 because I'm not here.
I mean, I'll have this and I'll have this next week.
Yeah. So like I'm not here for a chunk. So there's going to be a little gap on the Patreon pod. But for listeners at home, when we record again, he will have read volume 2, so we can do book club part 2 in April.
Hey Siri, remind me March 19th to go to the comic shop and buy Ultimate Spider-Man volume 2. Okay.
Canon. Because notice he's going to the local comic shop, not buying out of Amazon. Just saying, local comic shop. Support your local comic shop. But yeah, we'll do a part 2 because I don't remember where this ends.
So this ends literally
them saying the word.
Him the very first time that he goes like, oh, you know what? You're Spider-Man. It's him asking. So
his daughter
MJ finds out.
Yeah.
The rest of the family finds out. And he kind of has to come clean. We get to June, which by the way, the entire books are all split into months.
Lovely. I love it.
Which is fun. So 6, we're at June. And they attempt to take on Kingpin, who is fully prepared. They get their asses whooped.
Yeah.
He comes home beat to shit, and they go, what happened? And then his daughter goes, you're a superhero. And then immediately cries. And he goes, it's okay. And so that's where it ends.
Okay.
It ends with MJ being like, all right, fine.
The stuff I was about to talk about is next volume, so I'm going to hold it.
I also do love that MJ is like, well, yeah, I used to model for a little bit, but then I started doing my own branding.
It's perfect.
So now I'm in marketing.
Because it allows her to have that beauty and that standard of grace, but also the more intelligent MJ that was written in the 2000s.
All right, let's play this game. If that's Garfield, who's this MJ? Who's our new MJ?
Who is a young...
Who is Garfield's MJ?
Yeah, who is 30-something?
Yeah, she's not that young. I mean, she's got to be in her 30s.
The Garfield age... Is there?
The gravitas, the way she's drawn. She's kind of a little goth.
There's an obvious
love who's... They're yelling.
There's only one MJ?
The peanut gallery. You could speak. Tell us.
Amelia.
Amelia who?
chicken shop date.
Oh no! I want an actress.
I've muted their microphone.
What is this?
I muted.
That is cut off. Get out. What is this?
Hang on a second. No, I can't. I'm a white guy. I can't mute a mic of a woman of color.
Yeah, what are you
Oh
doing?
my God.
Did you just silence a woman of color?
Technically, we just ended February. My privilege is over.
Now it's Women's History.
Oh my God! Thank you, Jasmine.
And in fact, it's the week between, so it's the worst week to do that.
I get double-sided privilege.
Yeah.
There you go.
Shots fired. Okay, Jasmine, who was the actual
You can't say
casting
that.
call?
Well, I was going to say Emma Stone. I was going to say let's bring her back.
Oh, her play MJ.
Have her play MJ, have that,
That real bond. That real
well,
chemistry.
I mean, I know she was Stacy before.
Yeah, but like in the multiverse, that's
All right.
not.
Exactly. In the multiverse, it
I'm
doesn't
into that.
matter.
And I
'cause
love her.
And I love
so
their chemistry.
I'm fine with that.
I feel like you're about to give me I'm going to let you finish, but.
No. I was going to say then who then is Gwen? I was going to keep the casting going. Because Gwen is very similar, but Gwen is kind of a little bit evil.
Yeah, she's got a little darkness.
Who was the Stacy from, I feel like the first Toby's, from Toby's.
Bryce Dallas Howard?
Yeah, just really bring the multiverse of
She's a
that
little bit
face.
too old at this point, but I mean,
Is she older?
I do
I thought
love
she
her.
was the same age as Andrew.
No, she has to be at least a decade older.
Also,
sure
she's a great director.
Fine.
Let her direct.
I mean, Gwen, I don't know. I know she's in too many things already, but like Anya Taylor-Joy comes to mind.
Oh,
like
she's fierce.
It's that style. It's like somebody who's
The
kind
energy
of
that you're like, I don't know if I trust her.
somebody
but I
who's a
want
little
to.
bit scared. Because even they, after their dinner date, right? I love the walk home where she says, "How did you think about what they said?" And she goes, "A little scary."
Yeah, and they
there's
need that.
There's that moment of a little scary, which I like.
And
Oh, wait, I'm sorry.
Harry Osborn, Miles Teller. They're so good in the gorge together.
Wait, didn't you say that you didn't think Miles had any chemistry or
No,
talent?
with Anya Taylor-Joy,
Okay.
absolutely does.
Oh, got it.
It's
Okay.
with one person.
Okay, I trade.
All right.
I will put Emma Stone back as Stacy,
Okay.
but I raise you Mickey, Anora's winner. Have her be MJ.
I haven't seen her in anything else.
No.
but yeah.
Did you watch Anora? What you mean she's she's acting?
All right, you can't have conversations off mic. You have to have conversations on mic.
I would trade in. I admittedly, my Amelia answer was a troll answer out of love.
Oh, I see.
It was
Retracted.
what the heart wants.
I see. The
Ugh,
heart, not
geez
the
Louise,
reality of a movie.
But I
Restore the
would-
Snyderverse.
Oh man, the heart wants.
I would trade her for Julia Garner.
Oh, she'd be a good Gwen. I like that for Gwen.
Julia Garner.
Samara Weaving, the chat says, which I dig. Samara Weaving.
That's
Oh
a
yes,
good
that's
great.
another face I was thinking.
That's a
of.
great
Yeah.
pull. Great call, Gilbert.
That is scary.
Who was the younger version in The Substance?
Oh, Margaret Qualley.
That could
Margaret
be
Qualley?
that could be a pretty good.
Margaret Qualley, I also think would be a good Harley Quinn in the new universe.
Oh, that's fun.
She's got
That's
that
fun.
like spunky,
Right,
like
right.
fun, manic.
I
like
in any
this.
case,
I like this.
In any case,
Yeah.
this book is great.
Yes.
I cannot wait for the next volume, and it makes me want to read the other Ultimates. Maybe I just pick up Ultimates.
Yeah,
if
you
say
should
that
check out
that's the
Ultimates in
best one.
between.
Yeah,
Just start there and see if you like it enough, and then
Here-
keep going. But that's the next best one.
This is the one thing that when I was in the thick of it with the House of M and Civil War and all the stuff that was in that era, is I did struggle with the like my OCDs of like the continuity. Like,
Yeah.
am I reading this at the right time?
You are so far.
Right.
Get Ultimates next,
Right before. Okay.
and then if you like it, keep going. But those two are the musts.
Mikey was in Scream 5. Jake,
He does not watch Scream 5.
I did.
Oh.
It was terrible.
She was a Ghostface.
Ugh.
She also was in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
I was a ghost face. In
She
that
got
because
she
I
got blowtorched
died
by
half the time.
Leo.
Oh, right. Yeah, she was one of the Manson
Yeah.
kids. Well, she was great getting murdered. I
Yeah,
guess.
she was
no,
good at
I
getting
don't think she's a bad actress.
flame-thrown.
I'm joking, of course. I don't blame an actor.
Also,
for a
Mikey
movie.
Madison's another Harley Quinn casting.
Yeah.
She'd be so good. But you haven't seen her yet.
Right.
I think that's gonna do it for today.
We do have one more
Oh,
task.
it's a hotline call.
Well, we're gonna end with that.
Okay.
Before we say our final goodbyes.
Gift horse and then hotline.
But first, we need to spin the wheel o' names to see
Beautiful,
who is going to
beautiful.
be our anniversary, our 5-year anniversary gift horse of the month, the unpunchable gift horse of the month. If you're not sure what this is and you're listening to this episode and it's your first time, then that's strange. But it is this goes back to a fantastic phrase that which Coy once thought the phrase was punch a gift horse in the mouth. And that
It is
that's-
punch a gift horse in the mouth.
that spawned.
If you get a gift horse, you don't attack it because you want the gift. I stand by this. You don't punch a gift horse in the mouth.
This has spawned a monthly competition in which the winner gets an item of their choosing from the shop over at Coycast.com, and you get to add something to our watch list for the patron-only pod, which we are only a little bit behind on.
Not a full 5 years.
If you want your name to be in this drawing, you got to head on over to patreon.com/Coycast, become a gift horse tiered patron, and it's as simple as that. Without further ado, Coy, do you want to see who's going to be our gift horse?
Who will it be now?
For the month of
March.
March.
Actually randomized. Wheel of Names, not a sponsor.com.
All right. Wheel of Names. There it is. All right, here we go. It is a spin-in. We do this real officially, you guys.
Yeah.
And the unpunchable gift horse for the month
Frank
of March
Silva
is Frank Silva.
It was so close to being Gilbert after he was renamed this month. It was not quite, but Frank Silva is our winner.
Congratulations, Frank. We will send you an email with all the information on how to claim your winnings. And if you are in the Discord, I'm not sure that Frank is, but if you are in Discord, I will change your role so that your name is up in lights and everybody knows that you are indeed our winner this month. Coy, we talked all about all the things.
Yes.
We talked about the Patreon.
We
Best
did.
way to support the show. Please, your support is the only reason we are able to do this. We are both very busy and very poor. And we both have fiancés who I assure you are not happy with us
doing this for the dollars.
Doing this for no dollars.
Well, that's what I mean. The dollars we get is negligible dollars.
Gotcha. So we do really appreciate you allowing us to be friends.
Yep, because otherwise
I would never see Coy.
I live very far. And
we also
we're so busy.
We cannot stand each other.
No, it's like,
all
why
a
would I
facade.
be here otherwise?
All a facade.
So frankly, you guys are trapping us in a room together for money.
Gift Horse Lee. See what I did there?
Yeah,
Frank,
I like it.
Gift Horse,
Frankly, Gift Horse Lee.
Gift Horse Lee. No, I joked. But yes, please consider becoming a patron. And even if you don't have $1 to spare, because we understand, the
world right now,
the economy is shit. Thanks, Biden. Am I right?
Yeah.
The economy is shit, and money is tight. So even if you don't have anything to give, you can still at least head on over to the Patreon. Sign up as a free member. You get access to the live stream. You can chat with us. You can bullshit with us. We can just hang out. At the end of the day, we're not a news show. We're not a recap show. We're very much just like two friends who
Come
just
hang
out and shoot the shit about all of this silly artwork that distracts us from all the nightmares of the world.
Yeah, I was gonna say that while in this rant, the Patreon pod, we haven't talked about what that is this episode.
Sure.
If you are here for the first time somehow for our 5-year, the patron only pod, which you get for becoming any tier of patron. It's like any tier of patron gets the patron only pod. It is a weekly podcast where Jake and I discuss everything. Of the arts.
Everything we watch.
So we watch TV, we watch movies, and this is where, if you think I'm a yes man and love everything, you want to check out.
Right.
Because I don't put up YouTube reviews of negativity mostly. Like, there'll be occasional one if it's a big property that I will be negative if I truly didn't like it. But if you've watched my stuff, I overall am all positive, or I don't make a review of it. But on the Patron Only Pod, I will tell you everything we've watched, which just statistically, there will be some negative.
I'm going to tell you right now, on this week's, or I guess last week's Patron Only Pod, I gave one of my favorite directors of all time's movie a 1.5 star rating.
And that's where it happens.
So disappointed.
Oh, that hurts me in advance.
You agree with me.
Okay, well, it's coming. But yeah, so Patron Only Pod is reviews. We talk about sometimes plays. We talk about always TV, always movies, sometimes music. So please check out the Patreon Only Pod. And if you're a gift horse, you get access to that, and you get free merch that month, and get to, help us pick out what we're going to watch. So lots of stuff for a few dollars, because we also understand the dollar is worth nothing right now.
Also, if you're feeling especially gracious this specific month, it is indeed the 8-year anniversary of Dragon Wagon Radio. And for the most part, we are settled into our new space here, the Dragon's Den 3.0. But if you're feeling extra gracious and you want to throw us a little something, there's definitely some stuff we still need for the Dragon's Den. You can find that over at dragonwagonradio.com/support. And at the end of the day, of course, patronage is the best way to go, but that's there. And I'd be remiss if I didn't say it. Thanks for being a part of Dragon Wagon Radio. Before we say our final goodbyes for the day, though, we do have a hotline call we should listen to in full. In the past, I've cut these short.
Okay.
And I have said, we'll play the whole thing at the end.
Yeah.
But since this is our extra long 2-part 5-year anniversary extravaganza, I want to give a member of the Coycast family our full attention.
Okay.
And not cut their hard work short.
Okay.
I'm trying to get through this best I can, Doug. We got a classic Coycast song.
Oh, we got a song
from Duger 13,
yes.
aka Doug Chiarello. So let's listen to what Doug Chiarello has whipped up for us on what should be called a segment like karaoke with Chiarello.
Oh, I love it. Okay, bring the art.
This one's real special. I'm not gonna not make fun of you, Doug. I just hope you know that. Like, I love you, but I am going to make fun of you. Okay, listen to what Doug.
Ready.
Here you go. Uninterrupted.
Hey, Coycast is now 5. They're recording this one live. Our favorite podcast turns 5. You know them as Coyjandro and Jake Lloyd Bacon. We love you endlessly. This great Coycast community.
You got dancers on
Lots
screen.
of hot and heavy hotline calls on the phone. We can't appreciate you both anymore, and that ain't no lie. So kick those trolls and Snyder bros out that door. Coycast just turned 5. Hotline callers create games for you, and you always draft an X-Man or 2. Coy's face on a comic, ain't no lie. Coycast just turned 5. Darth Vadad is one of the Dougs, and our favorite band is Deep August. You pronounce words crazy, and that ain't no lie. Coycast is now 5. You love City Slickers and Deadpool, Paddington and Taskmaster too. And oh, what's that guy's name? Oh yeah, Vito Pepitone. Why does it always seem that Gilbert says you can't punch me? Wheel of Names would be much easier if his name was gone. Mama Jandro loves Twilight and more, and that ain't no lie. TARDIS, Robin, and Masked Llama all adore that Coycast just turned 5. Bookstore Brown and Spidey Cat love you. Benoit, Callum, and I do too. Coy can't say miracle, and that ain't no lie. Coycast is now 5. Anya and Alexandra have it tough, but just like all of us, they can't get enough. It might sound crazy, but it ain't no lie. Coycast is now 5. But there's one thing that we all know for sure. Life wouldn't be complete if Coycast was no more. When the pod ends and they're signing off, Coy always says it's wrong, and I've had enough. 818-794-0722 is the correct number for the hotline. We love this podcast so much, and we can't get enough. And that ain't no lie. Oh, we just want to say a big thank you. I'm sorry if my singing makes you all say ew. And when I write these songs, I know I'm a fool, but I had to try because Coycast is now 5. All of us just love this pod so much, and I just had to tell you we can't get enough. It might sound crazy, but it ain't no lie. Coycast is now 5. Thank you guys so much for all that you do. Happy birthday. Happy anniversary. Here's to 5 more years.
I mean, this is what you get when you give nerds freedom on the internet.
I have no words. He had references I forgot. I feel like I'm me talking about comics where I just say an obscure thing and I'm like, what are you talking about? Jasmine was visibly confused that I can't say. I say miracle.
Anya was visibly upset.
It's like Mr. Miracle.
See? Yeah. Oh, wait. We're getting talk back.
Mr.
Miracle.
Yeah, I've done this already.
Oh, okay. This has happened?
It's
a Christmas miracle.
I'm super. Do we know what episode that was? That I can put all of them?
It's the first.
All of them.
It's what are we on right now? What episode number is this?
195?
It's the first 194.
The first 194. I'm super excited to clip that because
Mr. Miracle.
Okay. Do you know the person who conducts an orchestra?
The conductor?
There's a more highfalutin word. Starts with M. Maestro.
The maestro?
Yes, exactly. He read it as maestro.
For years, I thought
Who
it
are
was
you,
Maestro.
Adam Sandler? Just
Maestro. Yeah, Mr. Miracle. But yeah, Doug, that was high art.
I want to give some of the comments from the chat. Darth Vadad says this is some big Doug energy.
Oh, for sure. It is strong work.
Shantae says I love it. Mass Llamas jamming. Ralph Holmes. By the way, Ralph Holmes says he's been listening since episode 1. First time joining the chat. Ralph, thank you so much for that. I love that. It's a new name, but he's been with us the entire time.
We're
Ralph,
almost 200 in. You've been with us a while.
Darth, it's going to be stuck in your head. Yeah, of course it's going to be stuck in your head. It was a very popular pop song.
Yeah, and it's even better now.
We have punched a skip for us in the mouth already, Jasmine. Gilbert says we've punched a skip. Okay, thank you for that. And also, a staple, the Doug song, the Dooger 13
I was going to say, this is literally the last moment of the first 5 years. There is no better way to end it than with a Dooger 13 remix to a classic pop song. High art.
And with that said, I think it's time to say bye.
Let's say bye. This was the end of year 5.
Go ahead and wrap this up for the children.
Good people at home, check out patreon.com/Coycast for all the stuff I talked about earlier. Check out 818-794-0722, as was just sung at me, for the way to be a co-host on here and leave your voice memos. You can also send a voice memo to contact@coycast.com. You lovelies can also pick up shirts at coycast.com, mugs at coycast.com, and all sorts of other goodness. We got a lot of merch over there. This has been a 5-year celebration. I am honored to be doing this with and for you absolute lovelies. It would not have happened without Jake. It would not have happened without you. It would not have happened without WonderCon. This is all what a journey it's been. We'll be back for the next couple weeks for patron stuff. There will be probably a slight gap in patron episodes because I am traveling. But we wanted to make sure we were here for this big 5-year anniversary. I actually made sure the trip didn't mess with this, so I was really happy this worked out. Thank you for being here. Thank you for listening. And thank you, as always, to you lovelies and to comic books for existing. We'll see you in a couple weeks.
Hey, thanks for listening to Dragon Wagon Radio. If you're enjoying this show, check out DragonWagonShop.com and get yourself some sweet merch while supporting your favorite indie podcast network. That's DragonWagonShop.com.
Dragon Wagon.